Code41 is back on my channel, and once again we have an admirable dedication to transparency, with all costs detailed on the website, including what markup is required to make the company viable, and again backed by a 2-year warranty and 30-day returns. I reviewed the Day 41 recently, which I purchased myself, and despite being such a niche brand, I was a little surprised to see a lot of traffic and engagement on this video. So I asked Code41 if I could borrow their soon-to-be-released Anomaly evolution. They said yes, but this is not a paid-for review and I will be returning the watch. However, I will get a small commission should you buy it from the link in the description, so I'm trying to be as transparent as the brand here before you proceed. Speaking of transparency, the Day 41 was actually transparent, but this Anomaly evolution takes a different approach. It still has the many angles and intricate details that we have now seen a few times, but it's a solid dial. However, what we get is a unique and fun approach to the date complication. In my videos I always moan about these being too small, when in fact it's just me getting old and needing glasses that's the issue, rather than the size of the complication, which by the way is what she said. But this is one that I can both see and admire without needing to don the dreaded spectacles of doom. In 2016, Code41 made an entrance into the world of watchmaking by offering transparency on origin and costs, and also using their community to vote for what they wanted next. This approach was seen by some as an anomaly in the Swiss watchmaking landscape, which is what the unusual model name refers to. So, should you consider the Anomaly evolution now, 7 years later? Let's find out. One thing I'll get off my chest immediately is that this is not my favorite color combination of the Anomaly. So if you feel the same, the grey and black versions and the community voted grey and orange combo are definitely worth checking out on the site. If you're wondering if this is yet another special watch edition with an astronomical price tag, then that's a no. Asking price here is $1,170 and the order period is from 21 June until 19 July 2023. So let's cover sizes right away. We're looking at 41.5mm diameter with a lug to lug of 48.3mm. Lug width, or rather the space available for straps, is 24mm and I measure a thickness of 11.5mm. Weight is 112 grams on the leather strap, and we got a 10 ATM border resistance. You'll spend most of your time looking at this dial, so that's what we'll cover first. Much like the Day 41, I enjoy this exploded version of a watch dial, but I'll be honest and say that the Day 41 I found much more interesting with its transparent features and unusual geometric shapes. What we get here is more along the lines of what I imagine the inside of the dial to a safe would look like. It's like you have many overlapping gears or discs that have been frozen in time. And I feel like the lower half where the date complication is located is very interesting, but the opposite side is rather dull in comparison. Perhaps a transparent disc here where you saw a faint version of the date dial would have changed this impression a little. The most distant disc does have some lovely decorations, so that's something. The other slight issue I have is that on such a large watch, only about 26mm is in use for the hands, which leaves approximately 10mm serve no particular purpose other than adding to the size, and of course indices. Those indices are almost 3mm away from the minute hand. I don't think this quite works, or at least not for me. I do think the Code41 brand name sits well here, but should it perhaps sit around the 2 mark to balance the dial better? I'm sure it was tried and abandoned for good reason, so I won't pretend to know better than the designers behind the dial. What does definitely work is the date complication. At the 7 mark, you get 2 arrows pointing to today's date, and since you get several days before and after that indication, even if your eyesight is going a little bit like mine, it's still very easy and clear to see what date it is, even from a casual glance. It looks great and I like it a lot. An almost hidden feature is the automatic text engraved at the 5 mark, which is there for the owners to find over time. The semi-skeletonized hands have Lume applied, as do the indices around the outside of the dial. These hands are also tipped with a matching green color to fit the many other green highlights here and there. They are not as obvious as, for instance, the red and black versions of this watch, but it still adds a little fun feature. The sapphire crystal that covers the dial has plenty of AR coating, which you will definitely need on a dial and hands like this one, where legibility can suffer in bad light. The fixed bezel surrounding the sapphire is again quite thin, which makes the dial look even larger than it actually is. The case design in use is excellent. It's the same shape as on my Day 41, and at least to my eyes it's interesting to look at, and the various angles and cushion shapes somehow all comes together to form a cohesive overall look. The sign crown has some attractive knurling that also catches the light a bit. It is pretty, but I wouldn't mind it being slightly larger for my big fingers, and the knurling perhaps a little deeper to make it easier to grip. The lug design is unusual. There's plenty of space between the lugs and the strap, and one side effect of that is that the strap changes are particularly easy, and even more so with quick release spring bars. The back of the watch offers up some attractive industrial design with 4 bolts holding down the back, and a sapphire crystal that gives you full access to the Swiss Solita SW200-1 elaborate movement. This is an upgraded version that offers ± 7 seconds per day precision, which is nice to see at this price point. The rotor is decorated and signed, and it's always nice to see what drives your little mechanical wrist buddy. This version comes with a perforated calfskin leather strap. It's quick release as mentioned, well ventilated, and the sign deployment buckle is easy to use. I like these versions since slotting the pin into place does not require extreme bending of the strap to make it fit. I sometimes feel like some designs almost need you to destroy the strap to make them fit, which kind of defeats the purpose of having one in the first place, one could argue. Perhaps the steel or the awesome rubber strap would add some pizzazz to this model, and that's definitely an option available to you. So to the Lume. It's adequate, but I really wish they played around with some more fun options here. Perhaps a Lume date disc would add some joy? Either way, it's good enough. I'm a big fan of this brand. I like their industrial design, and I also really appreciate the transparency of costs and sourcing some of their designs from an engaged community. Whilst this is not my favorite of theirs to date, I still think there's an audience for it, so please don't let my thoughts dictate how you feel about this. I hope you like it, and I hope you'll buy one. As mentioned, there are plenty of color combinations, and they all look very cool. Would I personally buy one of these? No, not for me. I would save a bit more and get the wild looking NB24 chronograph, which I'm still hoping to get my hands on one day. So what do you think about this watch if you're still watching at this point? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'll see you next time.